Hey, what's happening, everyone? I'm Angelisa, your host for Throttle Talk Tuesdays. Every Tuesday, we interview influential women athletes who are making an impact for other women in the snowmobile community. And tonight's live chat is brought to you by Black Tusk Snowmobile Club. They're hosting their AST2 4-day course January 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Spots are booking quickly. So grab your spot today, after the show, of course, at www.btsc.ca. And holy smokes, I'm so excited for tonight. I don't know about you guys, but we're chatting with Michelle Salt. If you haven't heard of her, her Instagram name is Parashredder. She is a 2 times Paralympian snowboarder, but also wakeboards and now sleds. Okay, she has an incredible story to share, and I can't wait to learn more from her today. So I believe you popped on here. I'm going to get real close and personal with all you guys right now. And just a reminder, hey, what's up, Ira? Woo! We will be answering everyone's questions at the end of our interview. There we go. So we'll just get a minute for Michelle to pop on here. Hey, what's going on?
Hi.
How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Yeah, pretty good. Pretty good. How's your Halloween?
It was good. I did nothing. Yeah.
Perfect. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
What about your fall? How's your fall been?
It's been good. I'm just anxiously awaiting snow like everybody else right now. More snow. And so, yeah, working a lot. But, yeah, I'm so excited for sled season. Like, can't come soon enough.
Yeah, absolutely. Where are you living? Where are you, currently living right now?
Yeah, so I'm in Coldstream, just outside of Vernon in the Okanagan. Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. Do you guys have snow yet?
Yeah, we do. And Sycamus is only an hour away. Revy's a couple hours, so lots of good options around here.
Oh, crazy. Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah.
Well, let's start off with our interview.
Sure.
So for those that don't know your story, and you don't have to go into too much detail, but just for our listeners, can you tell us what happened the day in June 2011 that changed your life?
Yeah, I'm pretty good at my elevator speech, so I can solid 30 seconds. So I was on my motorcycle at a CBR 600, and I was going up a hill. I lost control, going 120 kilometers an hour. Hit the guardrail head first, did cartwheels in the air, and hit the guardrail again. So upon impact, I had a brain injury. I broke almost every bone in both my legs. I compound bilateral tib fib, shattered my pelvis, my hips, L4, L5, right clavicle, punctured femur in 2 places. It actually severed my femoral artery, so I was bleeding out. So I was out of town in Cochrane, and I, Stars Air Ambulance, which is the helicopter ambulance we have in Alberta. They landed on the hill, lost my vitals 3 times, had a full out-of-body experience, looking down at myself, knew that I was too young to die. And so I fought. I was pushed to the hospital 23 minutes after severing that artery, which they couldn't tourniquet. So I bled out for 23 minutes, which is very, very rare. And the second I got to the hospital doors, my body shut down. So I was on life support for 7 days, in the hospital for 5 months, went through a bunch of surgeries, and I ended up losing my right leg really high above the knee, about 75% of my right leg.
Wow. Yeah, what an incredible story. I've been doing lots of research and doing YouTube videos and your website and all that stuff. You have, one incredible journey, and I just think it's so amazing that you're sharing your experience.
Yeah, well, it's been a journey.
Yeah.
It has its goods and it's, you know, it's downs too, but it's been really fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. What would you say was the biggest adjustment for you when it comes to your mindset after all of this?
I think for me, you know, it's interesting because I look back at who I was before, and you know, I was pretty superficial and a bit self-absorbed, and I needed to, you know, not be the victim anymore. And when I woke up and I looked down at myself and I'm covered in scars and I'm missing my leg, I was just like, you know what? I'm gonna figure this out. I need to just give it my all. Like before I came up with excuses, and now I'm like, nope, there's no excuse. I have a second chance at life and I'm just gonna make the best of this. So I stuck with that. You know, I had my down days, but I'm like, I'm here. I'm alive. Like why would I ever take that for granted?
Yeah, absolutely. And I was gonna say, again, did a lot of creeping. That's what I do. So what I've learned of you, you were very dedicated and ambitious prior to your accident. And actually, that's where I wanted to ask, what inspires you today, and where do you get your drive from to be the best athlete you can be?
Yeah, I would say that again, it really goes down or comes down to, you know, a second chance, but also just trying to make the people that were there for me and supported me proud, and myself. You know, I looked down at my leg and it was gone, and I'm like, I don't know what my life looks like anymore. I don't know what I can achieve, but I'm just gonna try and push myself to the absolute max and achieve whatever is possible, and which again I didn't know. So it's been pretty cool to see what's possible. But I think, yeah, my community, just the incredible people that have been behind me, and the fact that I am an amputee. You know, I have one leg. I want to try new things. I want to try everything as an amputee and see how, you know, how frustrating it can be, but also how cool it can be when I finally get it and I have that aha moment. It's pretty neat. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like, you're just a great inspiration for others that are, in a similar situation as you, right? So awesome. Oh, I love it. Let's actually start talking about sledding.
Okay.
So being a professional snowboarder, when did you get into sledding?
So 3 years ago was my first season. Well, I'm going into my third season now. And I had reached out to Nadine Overwater, and I'm like, hey, I know you're amazing and I want to learn how to do this. And she's like, I think that this is possible for sure. So she got me out, and you know, she sat on the sled with me behind me, and she's like, Kate, this is how you get up on one ski. And it was challenging for sure. She had to spend a whole day riding without any weight on her right, because that's my biggest challenge. But she figured it out pretty quick. And yeah, it's been like every single weekend and any day that I'm not working, I'm pretty much on my sled in the winter.
Oh, awesome. Actually, you know what? We're interviewing Nadine Overwater next Tuesday.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I hear great things. So that's an amazing mentor and coach that you have. What kind of sled do you have?
I have a 17 850 165 Summit X. Yeah.
Cool. Oh,
Yeah.
fun. And do you have a crew that you ride with?
Yeah, you know, it's changed a lot over the last two seasons. I was pretty fortunate to be have a place to stay in Revelstoke and be in Revelstoke every weekend my first season. And so, yeah, it changed. It was really cool because, you know, I would go out with some newbies as well in the process of learning, and we would figure it out together, and then ride with people that really challenged me and pushed me and were cursing my name by the end because they had to spend all day getting me unstuck. And then, yeah, you know, my crew last weekend or last season was pretty much the same people. And, you know, some were seasoned and others were newbies, but it was cool. We adventured together. We took trips to different areas. And this year, I don't know. I want to ride with everybody this year. I'm going to do trips every weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you have that's actually something I was going to ask further down. But do you have any trips planned for sledding this year?
Yeah, so McBride in a couple weeks.
Okay.
And yeah, we'll see. Might be a little early, but that's the plan so far. It'd be nice to get on my sled, even just to go up to the cabin on Sunday or Saturday of this weekend. And then from there, I think it's just the ladies' rides. And I don't know. I'm just going to go slow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And I mean, I know, yeah, it's early season, but just to like sit on it,
Yep.
give it some throttle, wind in your hair, it's gonna feel so good.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, awesome. Um, and what area do you sled in mostly?
So last season it was a lot of Lumbee, so just outside of Coldstream, and I did a few days in Sycamoose up at Owls and Blue Lake, and we went to Valemount last year as well. Um, but I don't know. There's so many great places like Greystokes. Kelowna is really close. I'm within an hour and a half to some of the, in my personal opinion, some of the greatest riding areas. So, but I haven't sledded out in Whistler yet. So yeah,
Well, come on out.
I will.
Love to
Yeah,
ride with you.
yeah.
Um, and this is something, so now that you're getting into sledding, do you have like a specific workout routine that you find would help with sledding? I have to
Yeah.
ask.
So I'm figuring this out. So I specifically picked the gym that I'm going to now because they have a tire that I can flip. So my biggest goal this season is to be able to flip my sled or roll my sled. I tip a lot. They actually call me the fainting goat because I can only put weight on my left side. So I'll just be like flat and I'll just tip over to the left and people are like, really? So I want to be able to figure it out on my own. So really like shoulders, back, even squats, anything that just builds, my core and my strength overall. Because you never know which muscle you're going to use when you're out there, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Feel like you're using the muscles that you usually don't work out. It's like it's
Yeah.
weird.
Yeah. It feels great after. Yeah.
Totally. Great. Okay, let's chat about some struggles and pains. Just because I believe that sledding is one of the hardest sports. So to let other women know the struggles we all face, it's real. It happens to all of us. But can you describe or go into some detail of your struggles and challenges that you face when you're sledding?
Yeah, so I've mentioned it a couple of times, not having weight on the right side just because I have so little leg left. I have this really cool sports knee that has Fox mountain bike shocks in it, and it allows, my leg to bend and to bring me back up with the compression. So that's cool, but at the same time, like I don't have the strength on the right side. So even when I try and shift my hips to the right, it's not enough. I can't really transfer. My knee is 20 pounds. So I can't just throw my leg over my seat whenever I want. I have to come to a complete stop. So if I'm doing a hill climb and I need to be on that side because it's a bit off camber, well, it's not happening. So I've learned how to do some really awkward moves that everyone's probably like, what is she doing? But I just like stick my prosthetic straight out and like, find a way to transfer all of my body weight while I'm kind of squatting to one side. It does the trick. Most of the time, it does the trick. There's also been, again, a lot of rolling and tipping. That and simple little things like being able to put my scratchers up. I have to get someone else to do that because I can't squat or even kneel because of my sports knee because the PSI is so high. So I'm either like laying on the ground to try and get it up. Tipping my sled is also pretty difficult too because I have the one leg to really put weight into. So there's a lot of things, but I just find ways to adapt, whether it be riding with a bunch of guys that do it for me.
Absolutely.
I have great friends, so it's awesome. Yeah.
Awesome. Oh, that's so cool. Um, okay, and how about some wins or accomplishments so far with sledding?
Yeah, I'm not really afraid of the throttle, which can be a bit of an issue. Being like a farm kid and riding dirt bikes most of my life, and my motorcycle and everything. Yeah, I'm not afraid. So I enjoy good pulls and hill climbs. Um, that for me is pretty fun. I think I'd like to start doing some drops, which I've done little ones. I've kind
Nice.
of figured out my tail stands, my wheelies. Because again, I'm not afraid of the throttle, but there's been some times where I could just kind of flying right off the back or land too hard. But I'm still figuring it out. Like every time that I ride, I learn something new and I surprise myself, and that's my biggest win. Is just progressing, even if it's small little things. Every time I go out, there's something new.
Absolutely. I think it's one of those things that's a seat time. Getting the seat time in every day is an experience. You're going to be taking away something. It doesn't matter if you had a bad day, you're still learning from that
Yeah,
day.
yeah, for
So,
sure. And I think too, like learning to get unstuck. That's been a big one. Like last season, it was always like, hey, pulling out the shovels, and now it's like you don't always need the shovel. There's other ways to get unstuck and to get out of this trench that I've dug myself.
totally.
So yeah.
Cool. Let's chat future Michelle. Do you have, I know you've kind of talked about goals already, but any goals for the upcoming season?
Um, I really want to learn reentries. Might
Cool.
be a really big goal, but I think that again, I'm not afraid being in the air and of the throttle. So I've been chatting with some people about different ways of doing it, and I think that's my goal is to try and do reentries and to not tip over as much.
Nice. Awesome. Oh, those are great goals. And where can we follow you on your journey this season as an athlete?
Yeah, so my Instagram, I'm pretty active on there, Para Shredder or just Michelle Salt. And then I also have an athlete Facebook page just under Michelle Salt as well. Yeah, I post to those a lot as much as I possibly can.
Cool. I'll make sure to add your handle on here as I turn it into an Instagram TV, whatever it's called, so everyone can give you a follow. And being an athlete, would you say you put a lot of pressure on yourself when it comes to like sledding?
Uh, yeah, so, I look back at my snowboard career and going into 2018, I had a lot of the Olympic campaigns and I had commercials and was doing a lot of media, and I there's a lot of pressure. I finished fourth and I was absolutely heartbroken, and I'm still maybe a little butthurt about it. Because I had worked really hard to be in the top three going into the games, and it just didn't work out. And so with sledding, I knew that I was taking on a new sport, and I just promised myself that I would do it for the enjoyment. And of course, I'm still competitive. There's still goals, but I need to take that pressure off myself and just enjoy the process, because I think by the end of snowboarding, that pressure kind of ruined it for me.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that for sure.
Yeah.
Um, and what advice would you give to Michelle, who is first starting out as an athlete with a prosthetic leg?
So it's just, I don't know, learning ways to adapt. Like there's going to be another above the knee amputee out there that's going to find certain things easier, or even below the knee. But I think it's just finding what works for you. And sometimes that takes a lot of, unfortunately, money buying different things, or just frustrations. There's a lot of frustrations that go into learning something new, especially something as hard as sledding. But it's just, yeah, be patient with yourself and just keep figuring it out until it works for you. Like I did the first 5 times I was sledding. The first time for sure, I hated it. I'm like, this is not my thing. I'm not doing this anymore. And then I'm like, well, I had access to a sled for a few months, and I'm like, I'm just gonna try this again. And every time I figure something out, and I'm like, okay, this is actually kind of cool. Like, this is fun. I gotta stick with it.
Yeah. I find that kind of with snowboarding too, in a way, like they always say, give snowboarding 3 days. I feel like that's the same with sledding. Like just give it 3 days, you'll love it.
Yep. By the end of the season, and especially once you learn how to like get up on one ski and counter steer, it's like game changer because you can actually go places and go around trees instead of hitting them like I did so many times in my first 3 months.
Oh, it happens. Even when you have been riding for a while, you'll still hit trees.
Oh, I'm sure I will. Yeah.
Awesome. And any advice you would like to give women who are doubting their progression in sports?
It comes over time, and I often doubted myself a lot because I had maybe a bit of a disadvantage to the people in my category, at least some of them, and so I never really had that confidence. And my coach would say, you know what, just try this. Just what's the worst that could possibly happen? Just try it. And I do it, and I'd be like, whoa, like that wasn't that hard. I actually did it. Kind of crazy. So I doubted my skill set, but it's interesting because it was always there. And once I started really tapping into that, I became an athlete, a real high performance athlete. So it's just be confident in your abilities. Obviously, being too confident can be a little scary at times too, but looking back and seeing the progression is probably the most rewarding thing that anybody can do when they start out and they look back at what the journey was like.
Yeah, for sure. A quote to you live by.
When you feel the worst and you try your hardest, that's when you gain the most. Yeah. So
Awesome.
I've had days where I'm like, I don't want to do this. This is like I'm not loving this, and it's a tough day. And those are the days where I push myself the hardest, and that's when I gain the most. That's when I gain that gratitude and that strong perspective of being happy that I did it. Like, there's times where you don't want to go to the gym, and you push yourself in the gym. You're like, that was so worth it. Yeah.
Totally. Yeah, I feel like a lot of us can resonate with that one for sure. I do have a question from Ashley. Her Instagram handle is sabert.a. What was your biggest struggle and how did you overcome it?
I guess when it comes to sledding, my knee, figuring out kind of the PSI where it needed to be, I would often lock out my prosthetic, but then I wouldn't be able to bend it at all. And then, I'd take my lock out and then it would bend too much. And so I'd be falling off my sled. That and just finding my balance point. Like, again, once you're up on that ski, it's fun, but you have to find your balance point. Like, I tip over a lot because that balance point changes. With my prosthetic, the PSI, I have box shocks in my leg. When it gets cold, that PSI changes. So it is really entertaining, I'm sure, for everybody to be with me until they have to tip me over 55 times a day.
Right. Right. Well, that's very interesting you say that because with the PSI, yeah, like that, not a lot of people would know that.
Yeah. Yeah, I carry a pump with me everywhere I go.
Yeah. Yeah. Fair enough. Okay, well, I'm going to open it up to everyone else here. I'm just going to scroll up. So if you guys have any questions for Michelle, you can leave a comment. I know I saw some. Backcountry Carly, Jesus girl, glad you're still with us. Mountain Darlin, two amazing ladies. Backcountry Carly, do you still ride motorcycles? I personally retired from street bikes, but still dirt scoot.
Pretty much the same thing. So I did buy a little CBR 250 after my accident, a year after, and it was really boring. I couldn't go nearly as fast as I like to. So I sold that pretty quick, and then I just, it's a controlled environment being in the backcountry and riding trails, and so I yeah, I love to dirt bike, and I think that's just the two wheels that I'm going to stick to for now.
Perfect. It's a lot of fun too.
Yeah.
And she also asks, do you ride with a prosthetic?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it would be really, I would think it'd be really hard not to. You'd be sitting all day. And one thing Nadine taught me is stand as much as you possibly can. So yeah, definitely I ride with my prosthetic.
Brittany, I'll be in McBride end of the month. Ooh, maybe you guys could
Nice.
link up.
Yeah, or let you know how it is on the 13th.
Ira, she says, you are such an inspiration. Who is your favorite male and female snowmobile rider?
Okay, so female, that one's pretty obvious. Nadine is incredible, but you know, there's so many amazing riders out there. Like Megan Render actually was the very first person that I ever went out with. Poor Megan. Megan, I love you, and I apologize for getting me unstuck all day. But yeah, there's just so many, and I think any female that just gets out there and is not afraid to, you know, try the crazy stuff that some of you guys do. It's just, yeah, it's pretty amazing. For male, that one's tough. Like I follow a lot of riders, and Tony Jenkins has been great lately, giving me some tips here and there, and he's a pretty incredible rider. So, you know, I'd say Tony, but there's so many out there. I just can't choose.
Totally. Brittany says, true inspiration, keep killing it. I agree. Ashley, again, she says, can't wait to rip with you this season. Carly says, very cool. And Steph Schwartz, I wish you could see how smooth you are when you ride. Amazing to watch.
Aw, thanks, Steph. Yeah, she was running a clinic. I think it was maybe somewhere in Sycamoose, and I was like, the only time I was actually smooth was when I was like going by the group, and then I go around the corner, sure enough, and I like tip over. So it was, yeah, it was all an illusion.
Aw, that's awesome. Well, that's all that I have today. Thank you so much for joining me, Michelle. I really appreciate it. You are a true inspiration. I love that you're loving sledding. I think it's so great. Keep killing it. Keep sharing your stories, because I think it's better to share than not share at all. So
thank you.
Thank you. And thank you to everyone for tuning in. And we will see you guys next Tuesday. Have a good night, Michelle, and we'll talk to you soon.
Yeah,
Okay.
bye.
Bye.